For the past few months, I've run Linux Mint and various distros on a custom Ryzen 9 9900X and RTX 5070 Ti. Thanks to Be Quiet cooling, it stays completely silent and cool under heavy gaming and productivity. With Apple discontinuing the Mac Pro, however, I decided to replace my setup with a 2013 Mac Pro, the 13-year-old Trashcan. But rather than retain Mac OS X, I'm going to take the trash out and install Linux. When I say replace, I mean fully disconnecting and removing this custom PC from my desk to prevent any urge to power it back up over the Mac Pro. This Trashcan air purifier speaker or space-age coffee thermos will be my only PC for a week. I'm installing Linux Mint, ideally for its maximum compatibility with older hardware. As regular viewers know, Mint is my #1 distro, it just always feels like home. You may notice a handful of dongles and cables already attached to the Mac Pro. We'll get to those shortly. First, I want to run through the specs of this 2013 Mac Pro so you get an idea of what's inside. 13 years ago, I was captivated by the 2013 Mac Pro's over-engineered design, but its staggering launch price, starting around $3,000 and reaching well over $8,000 for this 64GB of RAM and 1TB SSD configuration, put it completely out of reach. Today, you can easily find these under $300. I'm thrilled to finally own one, and with these specs, it's hopefully going to make a highly capable daily driver even in 2026. Spinning it around to the I/O panel, the connectivity is rather robust. It packs dedicated audio jacks, 4 USB 3.0 ports, an impressive 6 Thunderbolt 2 ports, dual gigabit Ethernet, and HDMI. That's more than enough versatility to hook up all of the peripherals for a daily Linux workstation. Slipping off the outer shell reveals that over-engineered brilliance, the unified thermal core. This triangular central heatsink, cooled by a single massive top fan, efficiently chills the Intel Xeon E5 processor and dual AMD Fire Pro workstation GPUs, packing an incredible amount of hardware into a beautifully dense footprint. I'll never forget the June 2013 keynote when Apple stunned everyone with this radically unique design. If you missed it, take a look.
Can't innovate anymore, my ass.
Innovate they did. Even now, this striking design still manages to look like something straight out of the far future. Now onto the peripherals. With the AR9271 USB Wi-Fi adapter, it's the way to go for Wi-Fi connectivity. Otherwise, you have to connect directly via Ethernet first or USB tether your connection from your Android phone in order to install the Broadcom drivers. The Mac Pro's built-in Wi-Fi requires frustrating proprietary drivers. This adapter is completely plug-and-play, saving a lot of massive headaches. I have a keyboard's 2.4 USB dongle and a Logitech mouse USB dongle. For the display, I'm skipping the Mac Pro's outdated HDMI 1.4 port, which severely caps resolution and refresh rates. Instead, I'm using a Thunderbolt to DisplayPort cable to get the absolute most out of my Samsung Odyssey G8 OLED. With the power connected along with my peripherals, I'll set up my keyboard and mouse, power on the Mac to see what's currently on it before wiping and installing Linux Mint. If you see a few different keyboards, just note I'm swapping them as they die on me. After a quick boot into macOS and accidentally installing updates out of habit, it's time to wipe the drive. To reach the EFI boot menu, hold the Option key on startup, though you might need to button smash it, especially once Linux is installed. Next, I'll select the EFI drive and install Linux Mint. Once installed, you'll need to configure the Mac fan controls for proper temperatures. I've left those details in the description. And restart the fan controls for the changes to take place. Again, terminal commands and details are in the description. Now I have Linux Mint set up with my typical customizations and daily apps installed. So far so good, it looks like, for Linux Mint on this 2013 Mac Pro. And that's where things got very interesting. After day one of using Linux Mint on the 2013 Mac Pro, I thought I did it. It was running flawlessly. Then on day two, I encountered a ton of different issues to the point that I wiped the drive, reinstalled Mint, and then encountered all those issues all over again. So back to the drawing board, I decided to install several different Linux distros to see which would perform the best on the 2013 Mac Pro here in 2026. I first jumped to Pop! OS Cosmic expecting this to run well, but like stock Ubuntu, I kept encountering black screens after the initial boot, even after seemingly permanently addressing the issue in terminal. I tried Manjaro but hit black screens from GPU conflicts, and the Endeavour OS installer completely failed to recognize my Wi-Fi dongle. Peppermint OS overheated despite fan tweaks, and Debian stuttered through basic tasks even after manually fixing driver freezes. I tried Casio OS, Elementary OS, I tried every Linux distro I could think of, and I just kept encountering issues, especially at install. There was various hurdles in order to get each one of these distros working. Did they all work to an extent? Yes, but are they easy out of the box? No. Was I productive out of the box? No. I couldn't run most of the apps that I typically would run, so my workflow was broken, and so seemingly I was lost. It felt like no distro was going to work, at least out of the box, easy enough for me to recommend to anybody to install for this 2013 Mac Pro. Then there was Omarchy. Now I know I've made quite a few videos already on Omarchy, recently made a video on a 2009 MacBook running Omarchy very smoothly. That's why honestly I wanted to go with Mint or some other distro for this specific video. However, I figured why not give Omarchy a shot. Surprisingly, it installed very quick, just over 6 minutes to be exact. Then Omarchy booted up just as quickly at initial boot, where I was prompted, as always, to configure my Wi-Fi, update Omarchy, and then learn any key bindings if needed, all of which was done just as fast with no hiccups after install. While I haven't had the chance to play many games, Steam installed quick, runs pretty smoothly overall. All of the packages and web apps I need come pre-installed with Omarchy, and you can easily remove any you don't want. So it's been quite the journey installing Linux on this 13-year-old trash can. I initially wanted to install Linux Mint. I was hoping Mint would work and I could run Mint for several days and see how it went. It just didn't end up that way. Throughout all the distros I tried, many of them were just either too complicated right out of the box, or it required a lot of tinkering to get everything working, and I never even got my full workflow up and running on most of them. So then when I installed Omarchy and found everything just works, I'm left with recommending Omarchy for the 2013 Mac Pro. It works incredibly well, and I'm very impressed with it overall, and I was able to edit this very video you're watching with Omarchy on the 2013 Mac Pro. After a week with this 13-year-old Mac Pro, I'm excited to return to my efficient custom PC, though it's impressive how well Omarchy handled my daily workflow. For those curious, reverting to macOS is simple. Hold Command-Option-R to boot into the initial internet recovery, wipe and format the drive, and reinstall. Just like that, it's back to its factory state. So of course, let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. Do you have any questions? Any questions on a particular distro? Any questions on the overall configuration? Are you interested in more videos to see how Linux or a specific distro can be set up on the 2013 Mac Pro? Let me know in the comments and let's discuss. As always, thank you for watching. Take care and stay safe.